Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about oof. Well, you may have guessed from the title, but this one is not just about us watching out for our safety so that something like this doesn't happen. Or this. It's about sharing space on the beach, showing consideration for other people in a place where space may be limited and the beach may be crowded with kiters and non-kiters. Basic premise of all this is that for anyone standing in the downwind area of someone else's kite, this area here, they have a few risks that they're put under. They could get hit by the kite, like we just saw. They could get hit or cut by the lines, which under tension can cut through skin, muscle, bone. Okay, small bones maybe, not big bones like a neck or a leg. Line cuts are one of the most common kite injuries. Somebody was telling me a story a season ago about a guy who's just walking down the beach and somebody upwind of them lost control of their kite. They got hit by the lines, just sliced from here to here. So yeah, that happens. Now the risk is the person, if they're getting yanked by their kite, becomes a projectile. Basically 70 kilograms of meat, which can hurt somebody else. This girl in the video just about took out 2 people. Do you think she saw the second person there? I don't know. I didn't see it until I watched it the second or third time. Aside from injury, if something goes wrong with a kite and someone's in the drop zone and the lines tangle, well, there you've just lost like 20 minutes of untangling the lines, sorting everything out and getting going again. If that happens during a lesson, it kind of sucks for both the instructor and the student, or it could send the kite into a death loop. So a lot of people right now are saying, that's not going to happen to me, I'm a good kiter, I'm in control. But I'm going to say we should never assume that we're 100% in control of the kite all the time. There's always the random element. Variations on the wind. This guy here jumping too close to the beach, which is the beginning of a lot of bad stories. Wind changed direction and he ended up on the beach. Good thing there was no one downwind of him. Equipment failure. Lines may break, like this guy. He was just standing there and the line broke. When you're launching, that's when things can often go wrong. Here's a video somebody sent me. Line slipped off, I think, when they were launching, and they had a person downwind. They got dragged over the rocks and actually hit the person again. Your harness might come apart or break, or your spreader bar, your chicken loop might activate. Sometimes people pull too much and the chicken loop comes out. You might step on something in the sand, a piece of glass, a sea urchin, a shell. This was my foot when I came out of the water once. You can be sure that my focus was taken off the kite and onto my foot right there. If someone upwind of you sends their kite into your kite, now you're a danger for the people downwind of you. And that's something you don't have control over. So there are things you can control, things you can't control, things you think you control, but can't. And lastly, a lot of people don't like this one, but yes, even if you're very good, experts make mistakes. You might have heard something in psychology about the infallibility heuristic or expert overconfidence. People that have been doing something for a long time, they often tend to get careless and make mistakes. This is not at all uncommon. It's not uncommon with kite instructors, and unfortunately sometimes a person who thinks it's never going to happen to them actually have to have an accident before they realize that it's possible. So if you're standing on the beach, kite up in the air, you've carved out this area, the half circle downwind of your lines, where anyone downwind of you is at risk. Also, it means nobody can use that area to launch and go out or land. Someone may be outside looking for a spot to land and they can't if you're standing there. So we want to kind of minimize the time we spend on the beach flying the kite in the air unnecessarily. Here are some things that we can do. They take a bit of awareness, planning ahead. They don't necessarily take too much more time, but it involves thinking about other people and not just yourself. Some of them are no-brainers. Like when you're riding or doing lessons, if you end up downwind, instead of walking back up the beach with the kite in the air, just land it and carry it back up. If you can't land it to someone, do a kite recovery. This happened last season. A guy was walking up to the beach, wind was cacking out, could hardly control his kite. I offered to catch his kite. He said, "No, I'm fine." Of course, his kite fell out of the sky. It was straight downwind of pulling himself towards a little kid. I offered to help him. I said, "Well, open your release, disable your kite so I can go get it for you." And he absolutely refused. So the kite pulled him downwind, ended up running over the kid. No harm was done. But he didn't know what to do in that situation. No one taught him how to do a kite recovery. We teach this on the first day. If there's no one to catch your kite, or you should be able to do it by yourself, pop your release. Takes 15 seconds to run up your safety line, get the kite in your hand. If you end up downwind and there's not a safe place to come in because the wind has dropped or something, I find myself doing this a couple times a season. Just do what we call the upwind deke. Use your board to body drag back upwind again and then come in a clear spot. Okay, here's another one. And I have to say, I've been guilty of this sometimes. I try to be good about this, but avoid standing with the kite on the beach, blah, 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 talking to someone, with your student, for example. Do all your talking first, then set up your kite, launch, and go. Have your board ready, have a good launch procedure, which hopefully includes a backline tension check, so you can launch, clear the area. Body drag out a safe distance to do your water start. And while you're out there, stay a good line's length away from the shore. If something goes wrong, something like this can happen. And here, this guy just put a lot of the people on the beach in danger. Your body draggers, when we're teaching them, while you're in the water, they need to scan the beach and find a safe place to come in where there's no people. And it's best to bring your kite down, land it at the water's edge while they're still in the water, unless there's a shore break. If you're doing the ski lift for your student, where they're riding but not staying upwind yet, and you're picking it up and bringing and riding the gear back upwind for them, pick your spots carefully where you pass over the kite. Call them in a safe spot, and while you're riding upwind and they're watching you, point out a spot that's safe for them to wait for you to come in, pass the kite over, and send them out again. Here's another one. Use short lines for your lessons. All the body dragging, all the beach lessons. We don't need to be on anything longer than 9 meters for that. And during that time, we're already teaching these people all these things like look ahead, look past the kite, be aware of who's around you. And then when they're able to do that, that's a good time to lengthen the lines. And it just takes up less space on the beach. So with all this knowledge, if you're standing on the beach, flying your kite on the beach, you've put anyone who's in that area at risk and a disadvantage, and they're kind of helpless, and it may not be intended this way, but doing that to someone else, flying your kite over their head, is kind of what we call a dick maneuver. And someone does it to you, somebody comes up and they're flying their kite over your head. What can you do? We teach our students to be aware. If someone's walking up the beach, and we have a kite at the beach, we'll put it down, we'll let them go past. Keep an eye on that kite until they're clear, because if something goes wrong, those lines could be hitting their neck or something. If someone's walking up the beach, I'll always offer to land the kite, like I did for that guy in the story. And sometimes they'll say, "Yeah, thanks," and sometimes they'll say, "No, I'm good, I don't need it." And then, okay, you can't really have a long conversation with someone on the beach who's flying their kite over other people's heads. Just kind of have to let them go. You can't really tell everybody else what to do on the beach because they don't like it. If someone's just upwind of you in the beach, we'll just move out of the way, move out of the risk area. Often instructors are the most egregious about this, about putting other people in their drop zone because it's convenient for the lesson, or because they haven't thought ahead or don't have a better way. This happened last season. The beach was almost clear. There's couple hundred yards upwind, couple hundred meters downwind, nobody there. I had some wing foil students. I was right at the edge of the beach talking with them, and this guy came in and he rolled up and he jumped up and he landed on the beach just 7 or 8 meters upwind of us. Put the kite at 12 o'clock, which again we teach people not to do because you're much more vulnerable on the beach to gusts and to lulls. If your kite's at 12 o'clock, it's harder to recover and it's more likely for something to have happened. And he just stood there and we were looking up and there's a kite overhead. So finally I said to my students, okay, let's just kind of walk out and clear the area. And as I was walking away, the instructor was like, "Hey, you," to me. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What?" I said, "Well, we're actually just moving out of your drop zone." And he, I guess, was quite offended. He thought I was maybe insulting his ability to fly the kite. "That's stupid," he said. "Shut up." And he left. So let's not be like that guy. Let's not fly our kite over other people's heads. Let's all try to get along. Here's another story. I had a student or an instructor. Beginning of the season, she went out to go ride for herself. Again, 100 meters, 200 meters upwind, 200 meters downwind, one person on the beach. She launched her kite just upwind of them and walked over with the kite just with the lines just above their head and walked over and went out. And later I said, "Well, did you know that's what you did?" And she was, "Well, yeah, but I had to get to the water." So that's not really a good reason for putting other people in your drop zone. But the idea, as always, is that we want people to think ahead, pay attention, and be aware of how our actions affect other people. Okay, that's it for now.